Hi guys, James at Rampant Lion Reviews again for you today with another beer review. For this one I've got quite an interesting collaboration beer to do for you today. So this one is called My Antonia and it's an Imperial Pils beer, which is a style that I really quite enjoy actually. I've only tried a few of these but I've found that I've very much enjoyed them. But this one is a collaboration beer between Birra del Borgo, who are from Borgorose near Rome in Italy, and also from Dogfish Head, who are from Delaware in the United States. I think they brew most of their beer in Milton actually, which is one of the bigger cities there. But it's the very first time I'm coming into contact with Dogfish Head, but I've heard very, very good things about them. So quite exciting that I've finally managed to get around to reviewing this beer. And they also brew this one over in Delaware, but it has a different label and a different bottle and things. But I'm assured that the recipe is the same. And this one is the Italian version brewed in Borgorose in Italy. So you will get two different versions of this beer. So do give them both a go because they might be a little bit different. But anyway, as is usual with my beer reviews then, I'll take you through a very brief history of both breweries involved here. It will only take 2 or 3 minutes, but if you want to get straight to the tasting, just fast forward. The brewery websites are in the video description for you below, along with a link to my other reviews that I'll do from these guys in the future. And at the moment you will actually find only one review from Birra del Borgo down there, but keep an eye on the links, they will be updated as I add to the channel. And also, please like my Facebook page that I've started out for the channel too, because I'm sharing a lot of things on there, so do check that out as well. But anyway, to tell you about Birra del Borgo first. So this brewery, as I told you, is from Borgorose near Rome in Italy, and it was founded by Leonardo di Vincenzo, who was actually an academic researcher in biochemistry prior to establishing Birra del Borgo. But he developed an interest in home brewing and actually travelled around Belgium, Germany and England to learn about the various different beer styles that were available there. But upon his return to Italy, he decided to upscale his brewing and become a professional brewer. So in 2005, Leonardo officially launched Birra del Borgo in Borgorose, which is a small village in the Rieti province at the border between Lazio and Abruzzo near Rome in Italy. And their first production site is the old brewery, which is called Il Vecchio Birrificio in Colle Rosso, which has created some of their most famous recipes actually, such as Real, Duchessa and Ducale as well. And I've seen those beers actually in my shops in Glasgow, so I will review those for you soon. But in 2007 they launched their pizzeria, which is called Birra e Food in Travestari in Rome, and the idea of opening this place basically was pairing beer and pizza together, so quite a cool concept in fact, and kind of typically Italian. But 2009 saw them inaugurate their new brewery with a larger production line, and they converted the old brewery into a beer lab for their experimental brews, so this is why you're seeing quite a high number of beers coming out of Birra del Borgo these days. But they also launched the Open Balladine Beer House in Rome with Teo Musa of Balladine Brewery, which is a bit of a beer hub in the city of Rome actually. But later in 2011 they also partnered up with Sam Caione of Dogfish Head, who I'll talk about more in a minute, and they opened up the Birreria in Manhattan in New York. So this is probably where this collaboration beer was born from. So to tell you a little bit about Dogfish Head, as I say, my very first encounter with them. Dogfish Head are from Delaware, and they were founded back in 1995 by Sam Caione when he opened the Dogfish Head's Brewings and Eats in Rehoboth Beach in Delaware. So originally they brewed on a very small system, which was essentially 3 kegs with propane burners underneath, and this gave them an output of about 12 barrels per brew. But this meant in the early days that they could hugely experiment with their recipes, and they also became very well known for their food cooked on a wood burning grill as well. So Dogfish Head on the east coast of America is a bit of a kind of cult classic for beer geeks over there, so I need to go and check it out one time. My friend Dave in America loves it there, so I'm sure it won't take much convincing to get him to take me there. But these guys very quickly found themselves being unable to cope with the demand for their beer, so they increased their capacity about 30-fold in the original brew pub before they eventually moved to a new brewing facility in Milton in Delaware. And this was a 100,000 square foot converted cannery, and at the same time as this, when they were going through the move of their brewery, they built a distillery to make rum, gin and vodka on the 2nd floor of their Rehoboth Beach brew pub as well. So you do get some interesting gins and rums and vodkas from them as well. I'll need to try some of those when I do get down to Delaware and visit it. But now the company have a regular range of about 10 different beers, and they've got numerous collaborations and seasonal beers too. And they also have many beers that are brewed exclusively for the brew pub too. And I think they do have 1 or 2 more places in addition to the Rehoboth Beach one. As I said, La Birreria in Manhattan is a very popular one, and I'm sure I will go and check that out at some point for you too. But anyway, that's your kind of brief history of both breweries. As I said, said, go and check out the brewery websites if you are interested in reading a little bit more, but we'll get on to the tasting of this guy now. So it comes in, as I told you, at 7.5%. It's an Imperial Pils beer. It was originally brewed as a limited edition beer back in 2008, and this was when Sam visited Leonardo in Italy, and Dogfish Head then started brewing this beer in 2010 in Delaware for its US distribution as well. And the one in the States has a more kind of sandy coloured label, and it comes, and I think, in a more regular shaped bottle than this. I do like these kind of Italian, classic Italian bottles, but this is the version of it that is brewed in Borgorose in Italy. So let me just bring up the camera and let you have a little quick look at the artwork before we crack this guy open. So this is the kind of classic style of artwork you'll get from Birra del Borgo. On the side it has a little bit of writing in the back in Italian. I studied a little bit of Italian at school. It just kind of says it contains water, malts, hops, sugars, and it says, it tells you there, sugar, yeast, and yeah, barley malts actually, rather than just malts. So yeah, it looks very, very nice, and it says Rethinking Ale. So this is obviously a reference to the Reale, which is one of their very popular beers, and this one is best before 12 December 2016, and you can see the Birra del Borgo thing on the top there on the bottle cap. So I'll be keeping this one, but you can see Dogfish Head just have their little label up there on the top of this one too. So without further ado, let's get stuck into this guy. Unfortunately, I couldn't actually find a hop profile for this one before I started reviewing it, so unfortunately I don't know what hops are in it, but it's rated quite highly on Rate Beer and Beer Advocate, and Birra del Borgo, as I say, are a very, very good brewery, so I'm sure I won't be disappointed with this one. So yeah, as you can see, oh, you can really smell the kind of bready character of this one as you pour it out actually. But as you can see, it's poured a really nice kind of bright goldeny straw colour actually. It's a big bright yellowy amber. I'll just put the light down so that you can see that quite nicely. But definitely very, very nice looking beer. About a finger of a frothy white head on this one here. There's a little bit of bumpiness to it, but it looks very, very nice. There's some big bubbles of carbonation just sticking towards the side of the glass there, but it looks very, very nice. Some little bubbles going up towards the bottom of the head there, and as you can see, if I put my fingers behind it, this beer isn't transparent at all. It's very, very hazy, and there is just a little bit of sediment, just a teeny bit of sediment at the bottom of the glass there, so it looks like a very, very attractive beer. I'll just put the light back down and let the camera go out of its mood actually, because it's been playing up a little bit tonight. But yeah, in terms of the aroma with this one then, it's quite interesting. There's a big, definitely a kind of big and quite bready malt base to this one, but you can just pick that up just underneath it. It smells very nice, but there's a big hoppy character, which is exactly what you would expect from a kind of Imperial Pils beer. The last kind of this beer that I reviewed actually was from Australia. It was called Moondog Love Tap, and it was beautiful, so I've got very high hopes for this one, because Birra del Borgo, I know, are a very good brewery, much like Moondog in Australia were. But yeah, a nice kind of floral and grassy hop character coming out of this one. A lot of quite lemony citrus in there, but there's a big bit of breadiness in there, just kind of underpinning the whole beer. And there's a bit of pale malt and a little bit of kind of grainy and maybe biscuity sweetness in there too. But the hops are at the forefront of this. It's very citrusy, which is what you would expect. Definitely a kind of citrusy lemon and orange character coming out of this one. But it's a big floral and grassy aromatic hop coming out of this beer. It smells very, very nice. Quite simple. You wouldn't expect too complex aroma from an Imperial Pils beer, but it has everything you would expect of the style. Some nice floral, grassy and aromatic hops. A little bit of citrus, kind of orangey and lemony citrus coming out of this one. But there's a good bit of breadiness in there, some paler malt as well, and a bit of grainy character and some kind of sweeter, biscuity and slightly caramel malts as well. So without further ado, let's get stuck into this guy. As I say, always give it a smell before you try it, but this is the My Antonia, which was a collaboration beer between Birra del Borgo in Italy and Dogfish Head from Delaware in America. Slanja. Very, very smooth actually. Yeah, it's interesting is while it smells just a little bit more hoppy than malty, there's a really, really good balance in there. The bready character is a lot more prominent than you would maybe think with this beer, but is the first impression I got of it was that it's a hugely smooth beer, this one. It's really interesting. The carbonation is just so slick in this. No attack to it at all. It just makes the beer very smooth, and it actually makes it feel a little bit heavier than it probably is just because of how smooth it is, but it brings out the nice kind of pale malt and bready character in this one. That is quite prominent in the flavour of this beer. But yeah, there's a it really is a big floral and grassy aromatic hop that's around this one. It comes across as more grassy, and it's just very smooth around the very edges of your tongue there, which is where you obviously expect all of these hop characteristics to come out. As you go around the front of the tongue, you're getting a little bit more of the kind of lemony citrus that you would expect from an Imperial Pils beer. But yeah, the middle of the palate there is just blanketed with this pale malt base, and then you get a bit of thicker kind of white bready character on top of this. It's really quite well balanced, and the flavours just go together very well in this one. It's beautifully done. What I would say, it's quite simple in what it's going for. It's nowhere near the most complex beer I've come across, but the flavours blend together so well that it quickly makes you forget that. This is meant to be a nice, sessionable and well-flavoured beer, and it certainly is that. The flavours blend together really well. It's not too complex, which would maybe push it into the category of more of like a tasting beer. It's definitely a session beer, this one. Really, it's really well done, and I would happily drink a few of these, I would say that. But yeah, very clean and very crisp. As I'm saying, you get a nice blanket of pale malt across the middle of your palate there. There's a bit of thicker bread in on top of that, and you get just a little bit of a slightly grainy, caramelly, biscuity sweetness just goes right down the middle of the tongue. But around the edges of the palate, you're getting those hoppy characteristics that you would expect of a Pils beer. And it's mainly a nice kind of smooth, grassy characteristic. It's not really that sharp at all, but as you move towards the front of the tongue, and particularly as you move back off the very front of the tongue into the curved area, it's actually got a good bit of aromatic dryness, and that comes out a little bit more in the aftertaste than when you're actually just adjusting to the flavours of this beer. But there's a bit of lemony citrus around that very kind of tip of the tongue there, and you've got a little oily bubble that forms just behind the very front of your tongue there, and that gives you a little bit of a nice, that's where you get a lot of the kind of quite lemony citrusy flavours in there, and there's maybe just a teeny bit of orange, but it's mainly a kind of citrusy character you're getting off this. But otherwise the hop characteristics are very smooth and very grassy, a little bit of aromatic around the front curve, and then some nice juicy citrusy fruit in there as well. So it's really quite nicely done. The flavours blend together really quite well in this, I would say. But yeah, not the most complex beer you're going to come across, but it's a beautiful session beer, and I really like this Imperial Pils style of beer, so I really would recommend that you try it if you do enjoy a good lager beer. In terms of the mouthfeel of this one, I would say it's quite mid-bodied. As I was telling you, that bready malt base that's in this makes it a little bit heavier than your regular Pils, and of course a regular Pils is what, about 4.5%, 5%. This guy comes in at 7.5%, but the carbonation is really, really smooth on it. That helps bring out the nice bready flavours in this beer, but it's quite crisp and quite clean actually as well. A very clean mouthfeel. There's just a nice little bit of bitterness from the more aromatic-y elements of the hops used in this. I would be willing to bet that this has Centennial hop in it actually, but it's got a very smooth, grassy character in it. And it's just a little bit of dryness to it. The aftertaste of this really is just a nice bready malt and a kind of smoother grass with just a little bit of that citrusy, aromatic-y dryness in there. It's really nice, but there is just a little touch of alcohol warmth. As you come down here, you don't really pick up any booziness in the flavour of this beer. But overall, it's beautifully done, and I'm glad that I finally got to review something from Dogfish Head. I can see why this brewery are quite popular if this is anything to go by, and of course Birra del Borgo are a very, very good brewery, and I knew that for a fact already, but This is a really nice beer, a very, very sessionable one, so if you're into your Imperial Pils, then I would give this one a go. For those of you maybe in Australia, if you guys know the Moondog Love Tap, then this is another very good one if you can get it over there. It's a very good European Imperial Pils to go for, I would say. But yeah, I hope you've enjoyed this beer review. Very cool to visit two very good breweries, as I'm sure you'll agree. Please let me know in the comment section below your own thoughts on this beer if you do happen to have tried it before. I always enjoy reading them, and please like, subscribe, share, all the usual YouTube stuff. Please like my Facebook page as well, because I'm just starting it up. But I thank you again for watching my beer review. I hope you've enjoyed this one, and I've got another Italian beer for you coming up, and hopefully I can return to Birra del Borgo and Dogfish Head in the fairly near future. But slàinte for now.